I was about to marry the girl of my dreams, Jade, when she decides on my wedding day to drop an absolute bombshell on me and basically embarrass me in front of my family. Or so I thought. But it turns out my family knew the secret the whole time, and you guys will not believe how twisted this secret is. My wedding was stopped by a shocking revelation, and I'm still reeling. I've been looking forward to getting married for the past year. Okay, that's a lie. I've wanted to get married for the past 5 years, but since I'm only 23, it was impossible for me to get married 5 years ago, as I was still a teenager. 5 years in the number of years that I have loved Jade. She gets me. We have plans for our future, and I've never had a reason to suspect that she would betray me. I've been playing my wedding day over and over in my head and the weeks leading up to it. I've driven myself crazy trying to wonder when it all went wrong and why she decided to do that to me. She claims that it was not a personal thing, that she only fell in love with me and my stepsister. Yes, my stepsister. The daughter of my father's second wife. Maybe Jade did fall in love, but not Safi. Safi cannot love anyone, she only loves money. Safi and I started staying together when we were both 3 years of age, and our parents actually lost their partners at the same hospital on the very same day. They were together when both of them got the news that both their partners were going after a fire had erupted at a guest lodge. Since they both understood each other, and each had a 2-year-old, they comforted each other. They helped each other through their grief and fell in love, and they decided to marry each other not because they were in love, but because they both needed support. With their partners gone, eventually they fell in love and had a happy family, and they told Safi and me that we were twins up until we were much older, which was when they told us the truth. Before the truth came out, Safi and I got along. After that, we started a little rivalry. It started with competing with each other academically, until it turned to competing for our parents' affection. At first, they humored us, but as we grew older, it got ugly. So they decided to send us to different colleges and have us alternate which holidays we visit them. When we were in a room together, we found a reason to argue, and would easily dampen the mood. I hated her, and she hated me, and to this day we compete. I did not want Safi to be part of my wedding, and I told her mom that she would ruin the wedding just to spite me. Her mom said that she would not be stupid enough to do that. She said she would keep Safi in line away from my fiancé and me, but little did I know that those were false promises. Well, my father also urged me to allow her to be a part of my wedding. He guilt-tripped me, saying that it was his only son's wedding, and since we did not know if Safi would ever get married, he needed his whole family to be there. I did not have to interact with her much over the weeks, and she was helping Jade with the planning. Sometimes she would come to the house, but only in the evening times when I went to the gym. Little did I know that she was sneaking around with my fiancé and they were using the wedding planning as a cover. On the wedding day, the house of cards came down. Everything had gone without a hitch on that day. Everyone was on time and the ceremony started on time, and Jade looked so beautiful as she walked down that aisle. Even more when I lowered her veil. It soon had become a red flag when I looked into her eyes. For I noticed a strange expression. She was also shaking when she said her vows, and when I asked her if she was okay, she said that she was fine. Just very excited. I should have known that she was having cold feet and that the pandemonium was about to break out. When the priest asked if there was anyone who knew why this wedding could not take place, Safi stood up. She looked like she had just come out of a horror movie and her hair was messy. She looked like she was in yesterday's clothing and tears were streaming down her cheeks. I asked her what she was doing and told her to sit down. This was my wedding, not hers, and the church was silent as they observed the interaction between us. She did not listen to me. Instead, she walked through the row until she was making her way down the aisle, and I heard a choking sob next to me and turned to see that Jade was crying. I was completely confused, thinking that she was crying because Safi was ruining the wedding. I was about to call security to escort Safi out of there, and she appeared to be drunken. Embarrassed me as always, and I made a mental note to get her back for this. There was a time and place to act unstable, and it would not take a 10-year-old to figure out that such behavior is not appropriate at a wedding. I was seriously upset and told her to leave. She then opened her mouth and told me that she would not leave without Jade. I asked why she wanted my fiancé, and she then said that she was in love with Jade. Well, I was outraged. I left Jade standing there and went to shake her. I told her to stop. Did she not have a heart? How could she ruin my wedding like this? Dad told me to take my hands off of her, so I took my hands off her, and then asked him if he was really going to allow her to taint my special day like this. I told him that he probably needed to start looking for rehab for her because her behavior was so darn strange. She was delusional, thinking that my girlfriend was in love with her. I felt insulted to her lack of respect for my wedding, to be honest, but then Jade decided it was time to speak up and said, no, it's all true. They were in fact in love, and it went through me like a sucker punch. My whole body felt like it was filled with hives. I let the words register, but simply told myself that this must have just been a bad dream. But when I opened my eyes yet again, I was still there. Wow. I was going to ask her to repeat what she had just said. I needed her to tell me that it was some sort of joke, right? She repeated it. She was in love with my sister. It did not make sense. Who long had this been going on? I could tell that everyone was just waiting for a reaction so that they could talk about it for the rest of the week. I had already been humiliated enough. I did not want to give them more to talk about. So I told Jade, Safi, and my parents to join me outside. I could hardly contain how I felt. I felt like punching a wall. I felt like crying until I was standing in a puddle. I felt like driving off and just never coming back. Well, but I contained myself, and I needed to make sense before I absolutely exploded. So, I told Jade to go ahead and speak. Safi tried to speak, but I gave her a warning look. The last thing I wanted to hear was anything that came out of that snake's mouth because, well, apparently Safi had a crush on Jade for years, but never revealed it because I was dating her. Jade had no idea until during the wedding preparations when Safi made a move on her. She was absolutely shocked about it, completely, but found herself reciprocating, and they've been seeing each other since then. And I asked Jade why she continued seeing me after she fell in love with Safi. I asked her if she was going to lie to me after we got married and go ahead just to continue seeing my rival. I told her that she took me as a fool for loving her. Safi told me to stop shouting at Jade, and if I wanted to shout at somebody, then I should shout at her. Our parents were silent watching the drama. Then my father put a hand on my shoulder and told me that maybe he needed to take a walk with me. Well, I agreed, leaving those two traitors standing there with my mother, who had not said a word since the whole thing started. We walked in silence after a couple minutes, and then we went back to the church. I had decided that I was not going to allow them to ruin this day for me. I was going to break up with Jade and then go on my honeymoon with a friend so that I could clear my head. I could not stand being in the same town as them. Would you imagine how I felt when I walked into the church and they were being pronounced married? Mom was standing next to Safi. When we locked eyes, she just looked away. I asked Dad if he knew about this, and he told me that he did not know about the wedding. I asked again if he knew about the affair. What more could he do but reveal that he suspected it? But wait, it gets better. Because he cares about me and feels it is better that I'm not living a lie. I could not stand all these traitors in my life any longer. They absolutely disgusted me. Then there were my so-called parents supporting her. even though I was the one with the broken heart and I simply turned around and found my car and started driving. I had a couple hours till I was to leave town, so I just drove, alone with my thoughts for the next couple of hours. I saw that it was boarding time soon, so I made my way to the airport, and as I drove I had a revelation. I could not just run away and let them get away with it. Safi had stolen the only woman that I had ever loved, the woman who I thought was going to be the mother of my kids. Something deep inside me told me that she did this just to spite me, as she always does. There is no one on this planet who understands just how rocky my relationship with her is. I've stopped taking count of the things that we've done to each other because of this. I know a lot about her. Some of the secrets so deep that they could destroy her, and the one that I was going to use to make her even, well, was the one that she had no idea about. I came across this by chance months ago, and I figured that it was none of my business what she did, plus I would never stoop so low as to cost her a job. So I kept it to myself. I left an anonymous message at her workplace, telling them exactly what she does. She works as a flight attendant at one of the largest airports in the country, and she has a habit of smoking weed and edibles to relax. I found out that she buys weed from a local dealer. When I asked him how she did not get caught after so many years of doing this, he told me that it was simple. She always knew when there were going to be test weeks before at work. She had a contact at work who told her and worked at the test lab, and she even said she was caught off guard, that her results would always come back negative. I told them that I was 100% sure and they were allowed to test that theory if they wanted. Once I left the message, I left town, and right now I'm on a honeymoon. My honeymoon. I've got a friend to join me, and I have one more week here. I hope that things crashed and burned for when I left. She went too far this time. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So today's story is wild. I did not see that coming with Safi. I mean, oh my goodness. Could you imagine OP getting married that day and just finding out your significant other is in fact having an affair? Guys, the first update came out a month later. We're going to hop right into that right now, but first, if you're new to the channel and you want daily videos, the best way to get them is simple. Click that subscribe button, and I will go ahead and jump into the first update. When I came back from my vacation, I was feeling better. My head was clear, and I had a better plan for the future. While having a family had failed, that did not mean that I had to give up on the rest of my dreams. As soon as I came back into town, I contacted my father and asked if we could have a meeting. At the meeting, I showed him my business proposal, and when I asked him if I could get my inheritance, I did not feel like living here anymore due to the embarrassment. So, I was going to move away and join forces with a friend. We had been playing around with this idea for absolute months, but never really thought that it would come to fruition. But the breakup was the push that I needed so that I could finally do what needed to be done. My father was not difficult at all. He said he was glad that I was finally focusing on something productive, unlike my sister. I asked what he meant, and he told me that she had failed a drug test days after her wedding. They had fired her, especially after finding out that she was paying someone to help her fake her results. So now she is just never going to be able to work in that field again. Dad was very disappointed and straight up embarrassed, and he said that he did not even think her relationship would last if she continued with her activities like this. I was very pleased to find out that my tip-off was successful and she lost her job. I mean, she deserved it. It was an eye for an eye type thing. I had lost what I loved and she was going to lose it too. My father gave my money, and a few days later I was getting ready to leave town. It was going to be very hard work, and I was not sure if I was going to be able to do it. But there was no room for me to fail. I went to my old apartment before I left, and I called someone to help me carry some of my stuff, which I gave away to charity and homeless shelters because I did not want to take with me anything that reminded me of Jade. I threw away all of our pictures, even as the memories clouded my mind. But I powered through and told myself that I would not break. I could not believe that all of this had been for nothing, that this love had consumed me to the point where I became ash. I'll tell you something that I have not told anyone before. I'm a shadow. I am nothing of what I used to be, and my heart's filled with hurt and hatred, and I gave away everything that I had, and I've always wanted to leave that town that I used to love with all my heart, and I hope that one day the world will appear less gray. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here one more time to let you know the next update is approaching us, and I just want to fill you in on this bit of information. This update was pretty hard to find. It was buried completely in the comment section, but it came out about a year after update number 1, and it starts off with a sentence, "I had completely forgotten about the past. I've been so busy working myself to burn out, but it's worth it." We're about to get a different outlook on OP's life now that it's a year later, and you're not really going to believe the things that OP's been up to. Once again, hit that subscribe button for daily videos, and let's jump into update number 2, about a year later. I had completely forgotten about this post. I've been so busy working myself to burnout, but it's worth it. I've not gone back home since then, and I've made myself a new home here, with new people and new places that I love, and my venture with my best friend is thriving. Within a couple of years, we'll be one of the leading startups, I know it, and the only problem I have is that my stepmom has been calling me. She tells me that all is not well at home and she needs me to come home. I've asked her to tell me the details, but she says that if she does, I will not come home. I don't know if I want to go back there after all that's happened. I have driven past that town once or twice this year. Every time that I'm there, I remember what happened and my heart starts to hurt. My friend Maddie, who's a psychology major, said that it's PTSD and that I might not need to do it because, well, it might get worse, but I might need to face it one day. But I'm not ready yet. All that helps me coping is work. Work is challenging, but it's fixable, and what's not fixable is when I see someone who looks like Jade or says something that she's once said. I never thought that my heart would ever be this broken. I thought I was the one of the lucky ones, that its cruel world it would not do this to me, but I hope that Safi is suffering wherever she is. I hope that she feels the pain that I felt a million times over. I know I should not be wishing somebody pain, but is she really a person? Oh, I don't know. It's funny that we could have been close like real brother and sister, but when I found out that we were not related, I was not upset. I thought that it did not change things, but then a few days later, some bullies tried to steal my lunch money, and I asked for help, and she told me that she was not my sister, so she did not have to help me. That afternoon, I refused to share my notes with her, telling her that she's not my sister. It was those small things that brought this unfixable rift between us. The calls that my stepmom has given me are just running through my mind a lot lately, and I wonder what could be so bad at home. I've not asked my father about this. I do not think that it's my father. My father's fine. I've spoken to him over the past few years, and I don't know. Well, anyways, I'll update you guys again soon. Okay, guys, so OP lied. That update did not come soon. I now have for you the biggest update of the story that is groundbreaking, and yet it took another year for OP to release this bit of information to all the commenters asking, hey, where the heck's this update? So guys, here it is, the next update, almost a year later. I've probably made the biggest mistake of my life by giving my sister another chance after what she pulled 2 years back. If it was not for my father who contacted me a few weeks ago, I would have died happily without laying eyes on her. She's lucky that I respect my father so much, and I want him to stop having to take care of her. He should be enjoying his retirement, you know, not supporting her after she spent her entire inheritance. After I left, Safi found out that I had asked my father for my inheritance, so she asked for hers as well. Since she had just lost her job, my father gave it to her, but on the condition that she would get another job and she would control her substance abuse problem. She and Jada moved in together after she bought an apartment. Several months later, she had a big fight with Jade, who left her. After that, she started to party a lot and make new friends, and the people that she made friends with were the most popular people in town, but also the most reckless. Mom and Dad tried to warn her about her behavior, but she told them that it was her money and she could spend it in the way that she saw fit. Then a year later, she disappeared, which was why my stepmom had been trying to contact me. She did not want to tell me over the phone because she was not exactly sure my reaction would be. She did not even think that I would give her a chance to talk about Safi, and in the end, she and her dad decided to let her go and discover herself in this world. She sent messages saying that she had gotten a new job. She also claimed that she was back with Jade and they were working together on some ship. My father wanted to track her down, take her back home, and get her some counseling, and she had never shown her reckless behavior to them before. Typical Safi, who did not care about them, she did not come back home on her own. An old friend of our father's recognized her wasting away on a street corner. He found out that she had just gotten swindled out of her money and that she did not have anything. Jade was nowhere to be found. She had abandoned her. Father's friend helped her with food and shelter and then sent her back to Dad. Mom and Dad were very happy to see that she was at least alive. Indeed, Jade had come back after their relationship got out of control, and she reported to Mom and Dad that my sister was narcissistic and abusive, and she undermined Jade and blamed her for the money that she lost. She got drunk most nights and threw things at Jade and even hurt her. Jade tried to stick around, but the situation did not get better, it got worse. And in the end, she left her. After she left her, she lost a lot of her money partying and gambling until she was left on the streets with nothing. There was nothing left of the $500,000 that our father had given her. She had managed to blow it all within 2 years, and she did not even uphold her end of the bargain of getting a job. My parents sent her for therapy, and she has apparently been working on herself for months. When my father asked me to meet with him, I agreed. I have also been working on myself over the past year, and it's been 2 years since I started the company now, and it's doing very well. I've also been working on my relationship trauma. It's hard, but I've decided to forgive them for what happened. I know that even if I do hold the grudge, it will not change a thing. It will not heal me. So, a couple days ago, I saw my father and he told me everything. I was going to be sleeping at his house, so it was inevitable that I was going to see her. She looked less alive than the last time I saw her, and her eyes were sunken in and she had lost weight. Her hair was cut a lot shorter and there was a haunted look in those eyes. At first I did not recognize her. I thought that it was some other person. That was until she said hello to me. It was awkward at first and we talked about everything except the things that mattered. Mom called us for dinner, saving us from the awkward conversation, and the parents were happy that we were all under the same roof. I wanted to be anywhere but there, and she kept on staring at me, and I did not like it. After dinner, I decided to go and sit in the hot tub. I had a long drive here, and I simply needed to relax my muscles a bit. After that, I made my way to bed, but then I ran into her. She asked if we could help and talk, and I said that it's not a problem. She said that she knew that father had spoken to me about giving her a job, and I said no. Indeed, I had told him that I did not trust her. We did not have a great history. She ruined my relationship, She said she hoped that I would change my mind because she really wanted to work on our relationship. She said that she was tired of all the fighting that we've done over the years, and she felt that maybe it was time for us to fix things. 2 heads were better than 1. I told her that I would think about it, and then I went to bed. I stayed for a couple days, spending time with some friends, and I was happy to see that most of them were doing well and they were also married. Part of me wondered what would have happened if Jade and I... That was when I saw her. While my sister had withered, she had thrived. She looked better than she did the last time I can remember, and whoever said that exes have to look this good was very unfair. We exchanged greetings, and then she asked if I wanted to attend an art show or the gallery in a few days. I was to leave the next day, but decided to go. I wanted to spend some time with her, to be honest, not because I wanted her back, but because I wondered where she was in life. I was just happy that she had managed to jump out of the moving train that had been my sister's future. On my way home, I made a call to someone about my sister. I asked them to help me find her a role in a company, and it could be any role, as long as it allowed her to work. I found something in this town because there was no way that I was going to babysit her once again. The times of that were far over, and that night at dinner I told her that I found her something. It was up to her, though, if she was going to ruin it or not. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. I can't believe OP is still looking out for his sister after everything that they've been through. It really proves the person that OP is. Well, we're going to see if OP helping out his sister, well, let's see if that actually was a good idea or a bad idea, because I have one final update for you guys. It came out 2 months after the previous update, and here it is. She got the job, and I went back to town, and I attended Jade's art show. I did, where her artwork was featured, and she was doing well for herself. She was actually in the process of getting a divorce from Safi. A day after the show, I went back home, and I did not think about her again. She told me all that happened between them and how she regretted staying for longer than she had, but now she was choosing herself and making herself happy. About a week after I left, she followed me on social media. She liked most of my posts, but did not say anything. And then she sent me a message. It was definitely a bit awkward because she was asking me if I remembered certain memories and was sending pictures of us. Well, I tried to be nice to her, trying not to jump to conclusions, but she did this for days until I finally stopped replying. I decided that I needed to block her. I was not in a position to be talking to my ex, and there was no space for her in my life. I told Maddie, remember the girl who was a psych major? Well, I went ahead and told Maddie that she was trying to contact me, and she told me to do as I pleased, but she was not okay with some random girl sending her boyfriend messages all day long. Maddie and I, well, we've been dating for 5 months, so yeah, and we have a very healthy relationship. We communicate well, and she knows everything that happened. When I went back to my parents' house, she knows that I went to the art show and talked to my ex. She also knows that there's no more feelings between us. I'm now focused on our relationship and seeing where it goes, so I blocked her. A couple nights later, I get a call from her. It was about 3 a.m. I was tired and deeply annoyed by the phone call, and she did not even get to the point when I answered the phone. She just asked me how I was, said she was checking up on me. She then went ahead to say that she was sorry if she had been so extra with the pictures, but she really did care about me and miss me. I told her that we were done. Well, there was nothing more to share between us, and this delusional woman said that if the feelings were really over, then why did I come to her show? I told her that I just wanted to see that she was doing well. It was not as deep as she thought it was. Then I hung up the phone. She called me again. This time, Maddie picked up the phone herself, and I will not repeat what Maddie said to her. But the next thing I knew, there was the beep of Jade hanging up, then Maddie was snoring softly next to me, and she should have known better than to try and interrupt Maddie's sleep. Even I knew better than that, and the woman is non-functional until she has had her first cup of coffee. After that, I did not have another call from her ever again. My life was peaceful once more, but on the other side of the country, Safi was doing the most. I got her a job managing the accounts of a chain of diners. She got the job because she was knowledgeable in all the systems, and for weeks, I only got some very good reports. Well, that was until yesterday, when I heard that she was being charged with theft. She's been stealing money from the first day that she started working there. Dad and Mom are done with her. They have told me not to help her again. She has no one to support her. All I know is that my connection is going to press charges against her because she stole a lot of money. I guess a leopard never changes its spots. She's still that same old mess that she was a year ago, and she's been calling me nonstop to the point where I've been putting my phone on silent. I don't know what she expects me to do. I mean, she's stolen from a friend of mine. Like, what do you want me to do? And strained our relationship. What if my friend thinks that I've been trying to sabotage her? Some people simply cannot be helped. I want her to go through this alone so that she can appreciate the family that's helped her. Poor mom and dad who have been embarrassed by her countless times. Wow. So this story packed a punch, but let's just get straight to the comment section. They're trying to say that OP went over the line. Yes, OP went through a lot from his sister, Safi, but she was also saying how they should not have gone and get her drug tested because that ruined her career and ultimately led her to getting fired, and a lot of people did not agree with that. So I do want to hear from you guys about your perspective on that. And also, let's talk about OP's ex, who tries to come back into his life at the end of the story. But he's already moved on, found a new love. So this story had a lot of ups and downs, but I want to hear from you. Do you think OP went over the top by reporting Safi to, well, the airline and getting her fired for smoking? Drop your comments down below. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every single day. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. And just remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.